Odd. How you find the culture in Oslo, cocktail culture in Oslo?
It's very open. It's open for improvement. Everyone wants to coordinate what they're selling with their chefs. Everyone wants to learn. Everyone wants to understand. So it's in a good way. It's quite young still. I wouldn't say that Norway cocktail culture is more than 5 years on a serious level. You see that people, almost every bar has some kind of collaboration with a spirit company to make their spirits perfect for their cocktails. You see people have collaborations with vermouth brands. Everyone is making quite ambitious cocktail menus. So I'm hopeful, really.
And before Himkok, it's like, can you recommend that Oslo as a cocktail city before the Himkok?
I think it will be very average. Not because, and I can say this because I wasn't a part of the opening crew of Himkok, but before they started, it wasn't normal to have water next to your cocktail. It wasn't normal to have nice, polite, good bartenders. It came as a culture when Himkok hired a lot of foreign bartenders, especially from Slovakia, and a lot from places like Australia and England and US, where they have a completely different hospitality culture. So I think all of these coming together and opening a new bar that was ambitious and creating 80% of their own spirits and their own beer and their own wine, I think it just changed how people view cocktails. And the more our guests demand high quality and a certain service, the better. Because then bartenders can have two choices. They can either change and become what the guests want, or they can give up and do something else. So it concentrates people, and especially our bar scene, where people either go hard or they go home, which is nice.
Because for me, just outside of the countries, just my look from the Moscow to Oslo, this is after Himkok is a game changer in Oslo, like totally. And when we was in Oslo, we see some bar scene, and for me it's like Himkok is mind-blowing project. It's like, oh my goodness, how you organize all these steps in a bar is so big, so many things.
Yeah. So we have 25 employees. I'm in charge of everything, including distillation, brewing, winemaking, development, research, new menus, training, and also staffing. My biggest strength, I would say that we're good at delegating. So I found someone who is very interested and burning for maybe distillation, and now he's the assistant distiller. So when our distiller needs time off or is sick, he can come in and he can do her job. We have someone who is passionate about ciders and beers, and he will come in and he will make sure that every one of the lines, and we have a few at Himkok, I think we're around 30 lines now. Then he cleans everything, double checks everything, makes sure all the beers is on point, and educates people about the different tastes and the different seasons when it comes to ciders and beers. We have Marius is great at training people, so he's responsible for making sure all of the bar staff is up to speed when it comes to our style of making cocktails and the actual speed behind the bar, how to lay out the bars. We go through together. We try to do as much as we can together. We even send the youngest bartenders around the world. So we have one bartender, Rasmus. He's been a bartender for 1 year. And I just sent him to the 50 Best Restaurants event, where he made cocktails for the world's best restaurateurs and chefs in Singapore. And of course, for him, that was such a big deal that he has changed as a bartender since. He's now much more motivated. He is a different man and a different bartender.
I remember this guy, and I saw the stories from the 50 Best.
So nobody knows how to run a bar like Himkok, right? There is no bar we can look at to get inspiration or even learn anything from. So we are trying to find our way as we go. And thank God we have a lot of passion and a lot of love for this place and making it work.
A lot of bartenders in Russia, they dreaming about the moving to London or, for example, for the Oslo. Do you think this is a good idea? Should they move somewhere, or should they stay here in developing the culture in a country?
I think this is a very interesting question. You can look at a few different bar cultures. If we look at Sweden, Sweden was on top along with Copenhagen, especially. So Stockholm and Copenhagen would make their bartenders stage in London and in New York, and they would work there for half a year, maybe a year, come back and open a bar. And this has created a fantastic explosive scene in Scandinavia. So both Stockholm and Copenhagen was years ahead of Oslo before Himkok, because they sent all the bartenders out of their own countries, out of their comfort zone, where they couldn't speak their native language. They had to be proficient in English and learn a different style of cocktail making and bartending. So they would also come in contact with other people from around the world, learn different styles of hospitality and cocktail making, and they would become richer for it. So when they came back to Stockholm or Copenhagen, they would share all the knowledge, open a bar, and show the locals how they do it in London and in New York. Then you can look at Slovakia, where the pay and the living standard of a bartender in Slovakia is so poor that most of the good bartenders who know any English will leave the country. And you can see now around the world on the 50 best bars list, you will see almost in every single bar you will have a Slovakian working behind the bar. But if you go to Slovakia, there are very few great bars.
Yeah.
Very few.
You're right.
I'm thinking of one, and that's Eric Lawrence's bar.
Amazing bar.
Ancient Antique Bar. Antique American Bar, sorry. Which is a great bar, but he came back to Slovakia to open it. And that's the thing. It's the same thing in Italy. You have a lot of amazing Italian bartenders, but because of the living standard in Italy, they haven't come back to Italy yet. So what we'll see in the future is when Brexit happens and people are pushed out of London, when people stop going to New York because of the rat race is too hard and people aren't making enough money, they will go back to their home countries, and you will see all these bar scenes explode. Like you're starting to see now in Rome. After Jerry Thomas project opened, now we have Drink Kong, which is highly acclaimed, and it's by bartenders who are now coming back to Italy from working abroad. So when you ask me if Moscow bartenders or St. Petersburg bartenders would benefit of going abroad, absolutely. Absolutely. However, I also think that there's a beauty in designing your own bar scene. So you see like this beautiful bar, Voda or Korbok, has their own style because they haven't been influenced by anyone else. You are finding your own style in your own way. And the only way to develop a bar scene is to use time. You need to do it for long enough that you get enough good ideas to change a culture. Like the way that you make cocktails. They're almost all stirred. They're almost all paired with a scent on top. This is starting to become a Moscow style of bartending. And the more people get into this, you will see better and better ideas, good combinations, and you will define the Moscow bar scene. I believe. Of course, nobody can look into the future, but this is how things start.
You believe in them, I hope. It's like...
Yes, I believe in what you do. And I believe it's important. So, whereas I believe that some bartenders should go abroad, learn and come back again, I also think that someone has to stay behind to save the bar community in their own country.
I just talked to Wisław Syrup from the Prague, and they have like the kind of problem with as well bartenders from Prague go to London, to other parts, to work somewhere. And he like, out of stuff. I need to spend a lot of time to cheat someone. It's really hard to do this. And also, this, you told about Slovakian bartenders. They're really famous for their working skills. I tell about like 20 hours in a row. I can shake it, stir it, serving, smiling, doing my job, nothing, no complaining. No, the Italian famous for this like, you know, this like, yeah, cool, this is amazing style of hospitality. And the Norwegian bartenders, what are you famous for?
Well, there was only two. It's me and one other guy. No, jokes aside, of course, there's a lot of good bartenders in Norway, and I can't wait to see what the future brings. We need to set a standard where we don't allow young bartenders to become cocky. I see there's a huge problem now where people believe that they're master bartenders because they won one competition or they've gotten a lot of praise for being young and good. But nobody is a master. Everyone is a student, and you have to learn your whole life. And if you think that you're a master at the age of 23, you are wrong, 100%.
Of course you're wrong, but an expect of Salvatore Calabrese. Salvatore Calabrese is maestro. Other people study whole his life.
Yeah, but even Salvatore Calabrese says that he's a student. He's still learning. He's not seeing his final and his God. Other people call him maestro. That's the thing. Right? It's like being an artist. You can never say that you are an artist, but other people can call you an artist. Because art is something that provokes a feeling that is more than what you look at. So if you look at a painting, it's more than just paint on a canvas. It is something that will transcend and make the experience more than just looking at painting on the canvas. That's art.
Yeah, like we saw in this.
Exactly, like we have been observing like for the last 3 days. And it's not up to you as an artist. If you provoke this feeling in other people can say, when I look at this, I think of my dead mom. It makes me cry. That's provoking feeling. But if I paint this, I can say that I'm an artist. And I think it's very important to stay humble, to know that everyone else knows something that you don't. Every single person in the world knows something that you have no idea about. Yeah. Always learning, always reading, always improving, and never being full of information. We always have to be hungry to learn more, to ask more.
What do you think about reading? How important is reading?
We can think about it like this. So, if you discover something, if you have looked into one specific thing about the cocktail for, let's say, 5 years, you want to have some acclaim for this. You want honor of creating it or defining it or discovering it. And the most respected form of information today is books. So you will make it into a book. A publisher will say, yes, this is original. You are the first one, and this is the book. This is Оддом Страндбаккен's book on how to make a blue blazer. And when that book is out, that is a document that says this is legit. Someone has put in all of the time researching the topic, and it's true. If you read it on a blog, there's no filter. There's nobody checking if it's true, nobody checking if you're first, nobody has given it enough love and respect. Yeah. If you love something, you will keep it dear to your heart. You won't just start screaming like, oh yeah, you can do like this. If you have spent 5 years trying to perfect something, you will make people work to get that information. So reading is the best way to really find the gold nuggets, the real actual secrets, where people have put in the time to research, develop, and figure out if it's actually true or not. It's not just a statement, it's a thesis or a theory that you have tried to disprove.
It's super cool. It's like, if you just can say a few tips to younger you, like go back in time, it's like, oh, I'm look amazing. Okay, young coach, listen to me.
Yes.
The few important tips. for the future.
Yes.
And it is
find a mentor that knows a lot more than you do. Find someone who has been in the game, who knows people and can find out the information for you. Buy one book and finish that book before you buy a new book. This to really value the thing that you spend your money on. You know, the cocktail books are actually quite expensive. And just to not throw away your money, buy one book that you really want, read it from cover to cover, appreciate it, and look at the next book. Buy it, read it, and then start on the next. Don't worry, very few books are ever out of print. You don't have to stress about buying new books. Because the thing is, when you have 55 books in front of you and you don't know where to start, you might not be excited to read through the boring parts, but it's the boring parts that has the real details. For instance, reading an old cookbook about when fructose starts to caramelize. And you think, I'm never going to use this because I'm not going to make jam. You read on, you read on, you read on. 5 years later, someone asks you a question and you realize, I know this answer. I have read it. I read it even though it was boring, and I just plowed through it and respected the book. Because if it's written by someone you respect, it's probably worth knowing.
amazing. Now I become a successful person.
Well, don't forget to read.
Don't forget to read.
Don't forget to read.
Just 5 minutes a day.
5 pages.
Every day.
Every single day.
Every
it's
fucking
nothing.
single day.
It's nothing.
This is good habit. It's like a 5 pages or 5 minutes, 5 pages with the 5 pages
5 pages.
each day.
Each day.
And you're not great, but you're okay.
Plug in your phone far away from your bed. Turn on one reading lamp. And take your time to sit with 5 pages every day before you go to sleep. To calm yourself, to relax. It's a sort of meditation. You focus on this, you go to bed and you dream. Before you know it, you read 5 books, 5 to 15 books a year, and you have a lot more knowledge than anyone else. Knowledge really is power, and knowledge is also money. If you have a good idea that you can combine from 2 different books into, for instance, a bottled cocktail company, you can earn much more money than anyone else in this business. We are now in this age where we are given the tools to create great stuff. And with great ideas, you can actually sell it. Other people will care. Other people are interested. Just be on top of your game and read more than anyone else. And of course, try all the cocktails to read about. Try to make it. Practice.
Make it
Do
fun.
Again, again, and again, and again. And write down all of your good ideas. Flavor combos.
Yes. Just remember by writing.
When you go
Reading, writing, remember, doing, just doing,
Doing.
repeating.
repeating by doing.